everyone, welcome back to Maximum Attack Rallying, or welcome for the first time if you haven't watched before. As you can tell, my voice is not nearly as croaky as it was last week, so that's a blessing that I will very much take. There is only one topic for this video. I'm going to divide it into two subtopics, but it's one topic, and that is the Roger Albert Clark Rally, which finished on Monday of this week. I'm actually recording this on Tuesday, trying to be professional and get ahead of it. Be professional by not being able to speak. Be professional by getting ahead of the game. This will obviously go out on Thursday, as it usually does, but I wanted to just get a little bit ahead as I'm traveling this week and just have things fresh in my mind. So yes, Roger Albert Clark Rally, what a fantastic event. You will all know that I'm not a big historic guy, but I think this event breaks the mold. I think it has a really unique place because of the format, the way they do things, you know, with it being such a long event, 350 odd stage miles, 33 stages, you know, you've got some really long stages in there. And then you've got other elements, you know, you've got management cars and all these things. I think that makes it really unique. It is a bit of an escort fest, obviously. I think there was 99 on the entry. It would be nice to see some more Sunbeams and Chevettes and TRs and Avengers and all that stuff, but I think the format of the event is absolutely brilliant, and you know, the fact that they only run it every 2 years for me actually adds something to it because it makes it kind of bigger somehow. You know, it's a real bucket list kind of occasion type deal, and I love that. So while I'm not a big historic person, and you know, I can't claim to be that excited about a lot of the cars, I think generally the event is fantastic and is a real celebration of all things rallying. And you know, I think for me it's up there. I know it's a very different event, but it's up there with things like Rally Legends because it offers something very unique, and it's something uniquely kind of British, and looking back to the, you know, the RAC Rally of old. So all of that is brilliant, and I think the organisers deserve huge credit for the event, because I cannot even imagine how much work goes into making it happen. I will come on to the organisers a little bit more at the end though. In case you haven't seen, Marty McCormack won. He took his fourth win, in fact, and I think he demonstrated perfectly how to approach the event. You know, I'm not going to say he took it steady because you can't take it steady as such, but you know, he drove very smartly and he was in the box seat when it mattered. You know, if you look at all of the names that are on that list, on pure pace, he never should have won that rally, and it just shows, doesn't it, that pace is not everything on a long event like that, and he just judged it to perfection. It was a really, really impressive performance. That said, there were some great performances from some of the guys who didn't have the luck, you know, from some of the big names. Oliver Solberg, obviously, unfortunate to lose the win effectively with a dry shaft issue on Sunday, but he didn't finish the rally in the end. Went off on the first stage of Monday morning when he basically just had to go for it to try and get back on the podium. But I think he deserves credit for his drive because, you know, he's in a relatively unfamiliar car. I'm sure he has driven the car a bit before, but you know, he's not a guy that does historic rallies generally. So for him to be, you know, he was 5 minutes in the lead when he had the problem. So that, I think, was a good performance. And Meek was obviously going well before he had his problem. Chris Ingram, I think, deserves credit because he was manhandling the TR7 around in far from ideal conditions for that car. So he deserves credit for that. I think what's interesting is the fact that so many of those crews, you know, I think I had some discussions with people in the run-up to the event about, you know, is Solberg going to finish? Is Meek going to finish? Are they going to be able to drive, you know, in this kind of endurance style, you know, keeping one eye on the fact that they need to go steady? And all of those drivers who you might have said are going to crash out of this, it wasn't actually crashes that ended their chances for winning. It was car problems in the end, and it showed how difficult the car was. I saw Chris Harris saying in an interview during the event, or at the beginning of the event I should say, that you effectively need a new car. Because such is the, you know, the wear and tear because of the length of the event. So, and that's true, isn't it? If you think about it, 350 stage miles, that event is a season for some people. You know, most rallies are 50 miles, so huge distance compared to what a lot of people are used to. So yeah, so I think, Meek was driving very well, Solberg was driving very well, Ingram was driving very well. I think credit also has to go to Ocean Price, who was in the battle for the lead until he also had car problems and was keeping Solberg honest. And I think that's really impressive from the, was it 22 British champion? Deserve real credit for that. It shows that he's a very talented driver. I know he's probably got more experience in more different cars than Oliver in a way, and more experience on British stages, but I think that was a good performance from him, and he should be pleased with with the pace that he was showing. So I think it was great, and I think the fact that a lot of the drivers were in slightly uncomfortable cars kind of mixes it up a bit, doesn't it? If you put Oliver or Chris Ingram into a British rally in a Rally 2 car, they'd wipe the floor with a lot of these guys because they're used to it, but they were out of their comfort zone a little bit in historic cars, and some of the regulars were very much in their comfort zone in cars that they're familiar with, and that was a leveler, wasn't it? So that was really enjoyable. I think I will also just give one final mention to Neil Weaver, who won the open class rally in a Corsa kit car. I think that deserves real credit. He put that car 6th overall, so I know it's a much more modern car than a historic Escort, but it's still only a 1600, isn't it? So to be 6th overall against Escorts with 250 odd horsepower, I think is really impressive, and to have won the open event so comfortably. And there was some very quick modified Escorts in there, and there was a 208 R2 which should be quicker really, and a couple of Rally 5 cars and things. So yeah, I think that's very impressive from him. I think though, I'll leave the event specific chit chat there because I want to move on to my favourite topic, and that is media, because you all know I love talking about media. I think while I love the event, I love the format, the best thing about the whole thing for me was the media coverage. I think the organisers, excuse me, sickness hasn't gone yet, the organisers deserve such credit for that, as well as the team at Special Stage, who put on such a good show. I think there was a bit of fun in amongst it, wasn't it, with the kind of retro theme, the music and the outfits and the backdrop and things for the highlight show. All of that was great, and it was a lot of fun, and it was fitting for the event, wasn't it? But that wasn't the thing that I loved about it. What I loved was just, it was an absolute demonstration of what makes good rallying coverage. It was so different. If you watch the WRC, this was just totally different. It was so refreshing. I struggle to put into words how much I liked it, because yes, there was live footage. They didn't do all live. The criticism I have, or one of the criticisms I have with all live, is that they are obsessed with the live element. I know that's kind of the USP in a way, but it's almost coming to the detriment of everything else. So they have to have every stage live, they have to have cameras in the cars, and you have to follow every single moment, and that's okay, but in a way I think it takes away some of the mystery, and it also takes away some of the drama. I think what the coverage over the weekend really showed is that yes, they had a lot of live footage, but they weren't every single stage. But you also, because a lot of it was based on cameras stage side, you had that, which is far more spectacular than onboards will ever be, and you also had a little bit of mystery because you had the commentator, Paul Woodford or Matt Cotton, getting little tidbits of information. So if someone went off, they were getting a little bit of information, and there was some suspense and drama even in the live coverage, which I don't think you get any of in the all live thing for WRC. And then on top of that, you had a highlights package that they really thought about, and they put a lot of energy into. So it wasn't just a facsimile of the live coverage, just showing the cars going through and saying so-and-so was winning, so-and-so went fastest here, the end, which is frankly a bit boring. There was a bit of that, but they also had it, wrapped in with other things. They had interviews. They went out to roadside service, with management cars, and they sticking the microphone in people's faces and talking to the drivers and to the crews and the service crews and the spectators, they showed, and this is the thing that really is missing from modern WRC coverage, they showed the people, they showed the human stories, not just the drivers, not stale media zones, just, you know, little moments to capture the, you know, the flavour and the feeling of the event. And I absolutely loved that, and it just made me, I've said this so many times, the magic of rally coverage in the old days was the human element. You know, it was Tony Mason going in, being in a service area and just getting the microphone under someone's nose in the middle of service, you know, in the middle of when they're trying to tell the mechanics what's going on and what they need to do. And that was what was captured over the weekend. And I think it just gave such a different flavour to the whole thing. And it just makes me wish that the WRC team could just capture a little bit of that. I don't need to see every single car in the top 10 live through every stage, because it's not that exciting. Or if you're gonna do that, make it optional. If someone wants to watch that, fine, but you need something to capture people's imagination. And I think the highlight show for WRC is dreadful, and if they could just capture a little bit of what Special Stage and Paul and Matt Cotton and all those guys captured over the last few days, it would be so different, and it could have such a big impact on getting people excited about the sport. I really don't think you can underestimate the importance of capturing those little moments. You know, they interviewed that young kid Oshin in the, you know, before the start of the rally, and introduced him to Oshin Price, and then had him doing little video snippets over the first day or so, and it was just that being flexible and trying new things. It just made it so different. You know, they had multiple camera feeds from some stages. And I think the big thing that I just thought over the weekend is, this is not a big team. You know, yes, I mean, in British rally terms, I'm sure they have a relatively big budget for this event, but compared to the budget that the All Live WRC is spending on each event, I bet it is tiny, because there's no helicopters and all this stuff. And it just makes you think, you know, if this team, if Paul Woodford, Matt Cotton, Wayne the producer, if they can do that with that small team, why is the WRC coverage so bad? Why is the WRC highlights package so dreary? So I think for me, as good as the event was, as good as the drivers were, as good as the cars were, as good as the event format was, as good as all those little details that the organisers put in, I think for me, the standout was the coverage. I think everyone involved in that just deserves enormous credit, and please, 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 WRC, watch it, learn from it. Go back and watch old coverage from the 90s and from the 80s. That is what your highlights should look like. That is what your live coverage should look like. Don't worry about putting a camera in every single car. Have a good few well-placed cameras by the side of the road and a few drones, and just capture the moments. You know, have that little bit of intrigue, a little bit of mystery. We don't need to be able to see every car all the time, because sometimes not seeing something happen to a crew is more exciting than actually seeing it. So anyway, I'm going to stop there, because I'm just going to get into a rant about it otherwise, and you may say that that's already happened. So I will end this video by saying a massive well done to all of the organisers, a massive well done to everyone who was there, even those who had to just stand in the cold and watch, but also to all the marshals, to the crews that made it to the end, to the crews that didn't make it to the end but put in a valiant effort to do so. I salute all of you. What an amazing event. A real advert for British rallying. I know I talk negatively a lot about a lot of the things that we need to change, but I think this event is a demonstration of all the good things that we can do when we put our minds to it and when we are willing to do things differently. So well done to everyone, and we will finish the video there. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, follow, check out my socials by clicking on the links in the description, and I will see you again in the next video for some more exciting rally related ramblings.